While the black people in America are frustrated at their government, they're upset about immigration and they're upset about us Africans. A lot of black American people are on lives, different social media platforms, talking about how Africans need to go back to Africa. They're sick and tired of Africans. As an African who lives in this country, I can take accountability of some of the things that we Africans do. The problem is that you move into someone's country and focus on what you can benefit from the system, and then you're totally removed from the problems of the people of that country, people that actually look like you. You want to go around, shout Pan-Africanism, we are all Africa, we come from Africa. But when we are here, we are also influenced by the YT to turn against our own people. Yeah. And we have to take accountability and speak about these things. These things really hurt. If you live in America as an African, you benefit from the American system. Black people in this country fought for you to even benefit, from this system. When you come here, you care about your tech job, your business, your success, your brand. You're taking, take. You're not part of the culture. You're not part of any movement. And when black people have problems and cry, you're not part of their problems either. How many of us African creators even use our platforms to actually speak on things that black people go through in this country? We don't. They don't want us here. They want us gone. Because you want your green card, you want your tech job, you want to be Miss America, you want to have 15 flags on your profile, talk about how you're in America, influenced by the YT to actually think that a black person in America is the one who is a problem and is your enemy. I can relate to the frustrations, the pain of black American people in America, because it's almost as if we are using them just to be in the system. And that's something that we need to actively change. A lot of us don't even have black friends. Guys, let's speak the truth. Some of us, when we came to America, we were warned by our fellow Africans to stay away from the black people. Who came with that influence? The attempts to address black people in their own land by Africans. I have so many black friends. When you migrate into a country, you're supposed to integrate yourself into the system. The system is kind and open enough to give you an opportunity to have your Afro festival, your Caribbean festival, which is a good thing. We appreciate that. But in some ways, we're totally removed from black culture. What is the cultural exchange? Why are we here? We should be living together. Now, on top of being removed, which is already a trigger and a painful thing, you want to come and silence black Americans when they are raising issues like racism, which is still an active thing in America. You want to tell them that, oh no, let's focus on soccer. You guys are making everything about race. But there's a black person dying in America all the time. We use our platforms to talk about our Jollof festival. We actually want to come and create our little Africa. I think these are the things that we should do better as immigrants. We should learn about migrating. I love living in this country. I come from a beautiful and a great country. But there's certain things that I don't have in my beautiful and great country. I would be so sad if I did not have America as an option. I'm not saying America is the safest place, but I love the fact that I can walk around in my shorts here and not be harassed as a woman compared to what I would feel if I was home. Yes, at the end of the day, America is a first world country. Quality of life is different. While I enjoy that, I need to also understand that here in America, I'm not just a South African girl, but I am also a black American person here. So I cannot be totally removed and not involved and just want to benefit from the system but do not help the people of this country when they're going through a lot. That's the problem with us. And I know how it feels. So I cannot be totally removed from the problems of America and just want the American dream, the glamorous side of the American dream. That is one of the reasons black American people are frustrated and don't want us here, because we use them. We want them for things that benefit us. After that, we are gone. That is not right. That is not integrity.
What if everything you were told about black Americans before coming to America was completely wrong? Some African immigrants are now saying that they arrived in America expecting one thing, but after actually living here and interacting with black Americans, they discovered something very different.
My black American, African American family, I'm sorry. I apologize for the sins of the ancestors, the fathers and the mothers of Africa, for what was done to you. I'm begging the African government to please give our brothers and sisters free lands when they come, give them money, let them take part in the continent, in ruling the continent of Africa. Please forgive us. please. And for those Africans that have come here, you paved the way for us. I'm going to say it boldly. You paved the way for us, because you guys, your fathers, your mothers, your forefathers, your ancestors, they fought for freedom. I acknowledge it. Without the way you guys fought, we might not be here. And some of our own forefathers, our own ancestors learned from your fathers and mothers. They reproduced this movement in Africa to be able to free us. So thank you. I'm sorry for the disrespect. I'll make every effort to spread awareness. I'm sorry for any names you've been called. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Since I don't know the ancestors, I can talk to the children. You are the children of your ancestors. Thank you so much. Please, let's forgive each other and work together. God bless you.
As a Nigerian living in the United States, I do understand the initial response of the Black American, and that is to attack when they are confronted with something like that. And this is because all of their lives they've been told by people that their skin color is wrong, their hair is wrong, their culture is wrong. And so they're always on guard. They're always ready to defend.
Like, don't piss in my mouth and then call it lemonade. Because what's the derogatory word for white people that's colonizing your land to this day? And for the Caribbean and Africans that say we don't have any culture, and come on now, we can already debunk that. What's your culture? And don't tell me food. It's to the point where I don't even want to date a Caribbean or African that has a coon mindset unless you have a rider mindset. And Black Americans built this country, not Africans, don't you forget.
They were told Black Americans were lazy. They were told Black Americans were jealous of immigrants. They were even told to stay away from them. But after experiencing America for themselves, some are asking a very uncomfortable question. Who taught us to think this way before even meeting these people?
Black Americans are always jealous of Africans because we come here and we do better. Every single time we come here and we do better. You know, y'all, I really love you guys. Honestly, you guys make content creation so easy for me. Like, you just really fuel me with so much shit. And it's just, I actually appreciate you. Like, it's so much fun to do this. Because this is such a old ass, tired ass conversation that we have debunked so many times, but yet you still keep approaching us with the same old knowing goddamn well that you are not doing better than us. Like, driving for Uber is not doing better. Okay. Do you know that there's somewhere between 11,000 and 25,000 millionaires, Black millionaires, just in the city of Atlanta, Georgia? I live in Ohio and I know millionaires, Black millionaires. I live in Ohio and I know multiple six-figure earners. Okay. So I'm not really sure like who you're comparing yourself to. Matter of fact, no, let me stop lying, because I know exactly who you're comparing yourself to. You're doing what you guys always do, which is comparing your top little 10% to our bottom 10%. And that's where you get your numbers from. Because that's the only way that you can actually make it seem like you're doing better. Because if you were to compare apples to apples instead of apples to oranges, you would realize that you're not coming over here doing better. So there's really no reason for you to talk shit. Okay. So you can miss me with the bull. The video that you're replying to is just me giving my opinion on a politician. And I'm sorry that you don't have the right or the privilege to criticize the politicians in your nation. But I have the right over here in my nation, and I'm going to exercise that right, and I'm going to criticize and whoever the decides to go into office. So there's no reason for us to be jealous because, boo-boo, you ain't got nothing that we want or that we can get. You ain't got nothing we want. Nothing. Absolutely not one thing.
Black Americans have been the biggest supporters of the progress of Africa, for Africa to be able to do well. They have always been. When people, come out of Africa, when a particular person, say in any capacity, trying to make a difference, Black Americans have always amplified such individuals. Even as recently as the young man from Burkina Faso, you can clearly see if you go to IG, it was Black Americans trying to give a voice. Most Africans, especially the ones that live in diaspora, they don't give a damn. So Black Americans have always been at the forefront of trying to get Africa work. All right, they were the inspiration that gave rise to the independence in Africa. It was their leaders that inspired all the Kwame Nkrumah, all the people that you see revolted in their various places. It was Black Americans' inspiration. Now, why did Black Americans do that? They felt that these people who share the same melanin, because it is only normal, it is only reasonable to say, hey, these ones that belong on the other continent, that share the same melanin, it's only normal to say, hey, you're not doing so well, I want to encourage you to do well. Now they began to inspire Africa. They began to all the fights that they fought in America was to ensure that Africa can at least find way to come and become a natural allies with them. Those were the vision. But at the end of the day, you see people coming over to the America, rather than being natural allies to these people that supported you, that gave you light. You became adversary to them. You joined the real enemy. You want to please the enemy against them. So that this is the origin of the animosity. And even as far back as 10, 15 years ago, Black Americans were not showing their discontent towards African. They were not. It was only recently, because Africans became far more emboldened in their assertiveness. They became quite insulting. They became quite abusive. They became condescending. Imagine coming into a space, disrespecting the natives, trying to please the real enemy, joining them, thinking is a competition. This was what resulted to them. They began to speak up because the thing became too much, and then they had to. Anybody would. It became so obvious that anybody would clearly see it. Then they began to speak up. So the idea of delineation has to happen, because clearly people who are supposed to be natural allies are joining the enemy. So why wouldn't you delineate from them? So they don't understand alliance. It doesn't make sense to them. None of this makes sense to them. So the idea of alliance became a thing, and it has to happen, because that's the only way people can now begin to take accountability. That is the only way.
Before some Africans ever came to America, they said that they had already had negative stories about Black Americans. They were told, don't associate with them. They were told Black Americans were lazy. They were told that Black Americans didn't want immigrants succeeding. They were told Black Americans were jealous of Africans. But here is the problem. How can you accurately judge an entire community you've never actually met? When you arrive in America and finally interact with the people themselves, reality can change everything you were taught. You meet Black Americans working jobs, building businesses, going to college, raising families, and helping their communities. And suddenly, those old stereotypes don't make so much sense. And that is why this conversation matters. The issue isn't that every African immigrant hated Black Americans. That is simply not true. The issue is that negative stereotypes can be passed from person to person until people start believing them without even questioning where they come from. And when you finally meet the person you've been warned about, you may discover that the story was never the complete picture. And that is where some African immigrants say their perspective changed. They discovered that Black Americans are not one single group with one single attitude. They found hardworking people, they found entrepreneurs, they found professionals, they found teachers, doctors, engineers, business owners, and community leaders. But they also discovered something bigger. Black Americans have played a major role in America's civic rights history. The struggle for voting rights, equal treatment, and protection from discrimination helped change American society. And those changes didn't only affect Black Americans, they helped establish broader principles of equal opportunities that immigrants and other minorities benefit from today. So when people realize that people they were warned about actually contributed so much to the country, it can completely change perspective, and that is why respect has to go both ways. African immigrants can be proud of their African identity, Black Americans can be proud of their history, but neither community needs to disrespect each other to celebrate themselves. American culture has been transformed by Black Americans. Music, jazz, blues, rock and roll, hip hop, R&Bs, dance, fashion, sports, film, even language. These are not small contributions. Black American culture influenced entertainment and popular culture around the world, and millions of people globally consume, imitate, and celebrate those cultural contributions every single day. But culture isn't the only contribution. Black Americans have also shaped American history through activism, entrepreneurship, education, politics, science, military service, and community organizing. So when someone comes to America and discover that the people they were warned about are actually welcoming, they are hardworking and supportive, it can completely change their perspective. And maybe that's the bigger lesson here. Meet people before judging them. Don't inherit someone else's assumptions, and treat them like facts. Because at the end of the day, African immigrants and Black Americans don't have to compete for respect. There is room for both communities to succeed. There is room for immigrants to celebrate their heritage while respecting Black Americans' history. There is also room for Black Americans to demand recognition without attacking every immigrant. And there is room for honest conversations about discrimination, immigration, economic opportunity, and cultural identity. If some African immigrants are now saying we were wrong about Black Americans and that is not something to ignore, that's an opportunity to learn, because sometimes the biggest mistake isn't changing your opinion. It is refusing to change your opinion after reality proves you wrong. And maybe the real question isn't who deserves America. Maybe the question is, why were we taught to distrust each other in the first place? Share your thoughts in the comment section and kindly remember to keep it respectful. If you want breakdowns like this, hit the subscribe button and join our family. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.